Fame, fortune, and adoration from millions should have been the perfect life. But for these celebrities, their stardom couldn't protect them from becoming victims of the most heinous crime of all. From rising stars to Hollywood legends, we're counting down the most shocking celebrity murders that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world and left fans devastated. 9. Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate was a Hollywood beauty on the brink of superstardom when her life was brutally stolen on August 9, 1969. The pregnant 26-year-old had her life taken alongside 4 friends in her Los Angeles home, in a crime that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. The crime was committed by the notorious Manson family, a cult led by the twisted Charles Manson. That summer night, Tate was enjoying a quiet evening at her Cielo Drive home with Jay Sebring, Abigail Folger, and Wojciech Frykowski. Her husband, director Roman Polanski, was away in Europe. Suddenly, horror struck. Manson's followers, including Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Leslie Van Houten, broke into the home, unleashing unspeakable violence. Tate, pleading for her unborn child's life, was mercilessly ended. The killers smeared her blood on the walls, leaving behind the eerie word P.I.G. Charles Manson was no ordinary criminal. He was a manipulative cult leader with delusions of sparking a race war he called Helter Skelter, inspired by the Beatles. He convinced his followers that gruesome celebrity murders would ignite chaos and bring about his apocalyptic vision. The Tate home was randomly chosen, and Manson didn't even realize he was targeting a Hollywood actress. Initially, the crime scene baffled investigators. They suggested something more sinister than a random attack. Eventually, police connected the murders to Manson and his brainwashed followers, already under suspicion for other violent acts. Manson's trial in 1970 was a media circus. He and his followers disrupted court proceedings, carved X's into their foreheads, and exhibited eerie loyalty. Despite his attempts to manipulate the system, Manson and several of his followers were convicted. He was sentenced to death, later reduced to life in prison, where he remained until his death in 2017. Sharon Tate's murder became a symbol of lost innocence and the dark side of Hollywood. Her tragic death marked the end of the free-spirited 1960s, exposing the dangers of cults and blind devotion. Roman Polanski, devastated by the loss of his wife and child, was forever haunted by the tragedy. Even decades later, Tate's murder remains one of America's most infamous crimes, a chilling reminder of how charisma and madness can lead to unthinkable violence. But Sharon wasn't the only young star whose life was stolen. The next case is one of hip-hop's biggest mysteries. 8. The notorious B.I.G. Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., wasn't just a rapper. He was a lyrical mastermind, a street poet, and a hip-hop icon. But on March 9, 1997, at just 24 years old, his story was cut short in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles. Coming just 6 months after the loss of Tupac, Biggie's tragic loss sent shockwaves through the music world. After partying at the Peterson Automotive Museum, Biggie and his crew left in a Chevy Suburban. Just after midnight, as they stopped at a red light, a black Chevy Impala pulled up. In seconds, gunfire erupted. 4 bullets struck Biggie, sealing his fate. He was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but at 1:15 a.m., he was gone. Despite Biggie's celebrity status, the investigation hit a wall. Witnesses clammed up. Evidence was scarce. Some even suspect police corruption played a role, with whispers of officers tied to the hip-hop world. Over the years, investigators, journalists, and conspiracy theorists have chased countless leads, but still, no arrests, no justice. Theories began to run wild. Many believe Biggie's murder was payback for Tupac's death, part of the infamous East Coast versus West Coast War. Some speculate it was by Suge Knight's hand. The Death Row Records boss has long been accused of masterminding both murders to control the rap game. Some suspects believe LAPD officers helped cover up the crime or even played a role in it. And some theories suggest an inside betrayal led to his death. Though his life was stolen, Biggie's impact is immortal. His albums, Ready to Die and Life After Death, shaped modern hip-hop, while tracks like Juicy, Big Papa, and Hypnotize still dominate playlists. His storytelling, flow, and swagger made him a legend, and his influence still echoes through the rap game today. The truth about his murder may never be known, but one thing is certain. The notorious B.I.G. will always be one of the greatest to ever touch a mic. The death of Christopher Wallace sent shockwaves through the hip-hop industry. But the next celebrity's death is one that took the whole world by surprise. 7. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye, the silky-voiced Prince of Soul, gave world classics like What's Going On and Sexual Healing. But his life ended in a shocking tragedy. On April 1st, 1984, just one day before his 45th birthday, Marvin was shot by his own father in their Los Angeles home. The morning started with family tension boiling over. Marvin, already struggling with depression, addiction, and financial woes, stepped in to break up a fight between his parents. Things escalated quickly, and in a horrifying turn, Marvin Gaye Sr. pulled out a gun and shot his son in the chest. The life of the legendary singer ended instantly, leaving fans and the music industry in utter disbelief. Police arrested Marvin's father at the scene. Marvin so conveniently relied on self-defense, claiming his son had threatened him. But with a history of abuse, the truth was far more complicated. Shockingly, Gaye Sr. was convicted of voluntary manslaughter, sentenced to probation, and never served a single day in prison. The light punishment outraged fans and sparked conversations about justice, family violence, and the failings of the legal system. Despite his struggles, Marvin Gaye was, and remains, one of the most influential artists in history. His album, What's Going On, tackled social justice, war, and inequality, while his timeless hits continue to inspire generations. His music still plays in movies, commercials, and playlists worldwide, proving that while his life was tragically cut short, his impact is forever. His tragic end remains one of the most heartbreaking stories in music history. But Marvin Gaye's soulful voice, raw emotion, and fearless artistry will never fade. His music lives on, immortalizing him as one of the greatest to ever do it. Deadly family conflicts were all the rage, but it gets even more heartbreaking when fans take fanaticism a little too far. 6. John Lennon. On December 8, 1980, the world lost one of its greatest visionaries when John Lennon, co-founder of the Beatles and a passionate peace activist, was shot outside his New York City home. The man behind the trigger was Mark David Chapman, a disturbed fan whose obsession turned deadly. The tragedy sent shockwaves across the globe, marking the end of an era and leaving behind a mystery that still fuels speculation today. That night, Lennon and his wife, Yoko Ono, returned to the Dakota, their Manhattan apartment, after a recording session for Double Fantasy. Waiting outside was Chapman, who had even asked Lennon for an autograph earlier that day. But this time, he wasn't there as a fan. He pulled out a .38 caliber revolver and fired 5 shots, 4 of which struck Lennon in the back and shoulder. Lennon staggered inside but collapsed in the lobby, and despite frantic attempts to save him, he was pronounced dead at 11:15 p.m. Chapman didn't run. Instead, he sat on the sidewalk reading J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, calmly waiting for the police. His motive was a twisted mix of obsession and delusion. Once a Beatles fan, Chapman had grown resentful of Lennon, reportedly angered by his "more popular than Jesus" comment and his wealth. He later claimed he saw Lennon as a phony and believed killing him would make him famous. While Chapman acted alone, conspiracy theories abound. Some believe Lennon's outspoken activism against war and injustice made him a target for CIA intervention. Others suspect Chapman was manipulated into committing the crime. While no hard evidence supports these claims, the mystery only deepens Lennon's legend. Lennon's assassination wasn't just a personal loss, it was a cultural earthquake. As a musician, he revolutionized rock and pop. As an activist, he preached peace, love, and unity, challenging authority with songs like Imagine and Give Peace a Chance. Decades later, his music still inspires generations, proving that while bullets took his life, they could never silence his voice. John Lennon may be gone, but his message of peace and love will echo forever. And speaking of Hollywood tragedies, this next star's death still sparks debate to this day. Cinco. Marilyn Monroe. On August 5, 1962, the world lost one of its most iconic stars, Marilyn Monroe, at just 36 years old. Officially ruled as a probable suicide due to a barbiturate overdose, the death Monroe has fueled endless speculation, with theories ranging from accidental overdose to elaborate conspiracies involving the mafia, the Kennedy family, and Hollywood power players. Monroe's final hours were filled with erratic behavior, including late-night phone calls that hinted at emotional distress. Her housekeeper discovered her unresponsive in bed around 3 a.m., surrounded by empty pill bottles. The official report suggested suicide, citing her struggles with depression and substance abuse. However, inconsistencies in the investigation raised suspicion, with claims that evidence was mishandled and key details overlooked. Despite the official ruling, Monroe's death remains one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. Monroe was rumored to have affairs with both President John F. Kennedy and his brother Robert F. Kennedy. Some believe she was silenced to prevent her from exposing sensitive information about the powerful family. Linked to figures with mob ties, Monroe was allegedly used as a pawn in a power struggle between the mafia and the Kennedys. Some suggest the mob orchestrated her death to send a message, while some believe Monroe unintentionally took a lethal dose of sleeping pills. Given her history of substance abuse and emotional turmoil, others argue that Monroe was killed to prevent her from revealing damaging secrets, possibly by Hollywood elites, government agents, or close associates. A less popular theory suggests Monroe's death was orchestrated by those in the entertainment industry who saw her as a threat. Marilyn Monroe's untimely passing only solidified her status as a cultural icon. Films like Some Like It Hot and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes showcased her brilliance, while her personal struggles made her an enduring symbol of vulnerability beneath the Hollywood glamour. Her tragic story serves as a cautionary tale about the pressures of fame, mental health struggles, and the dark side of celebrity culture. Decades later, Monroe remains a subject of fascination. Whether the loss of her life was an accident, suicide, or something more sinister, Marilyn Monroe's legacy will never fade. If you think Marilyn's case is full of mystery, the next celebrity's death is even more shocking. Quarta. Selena Quintanilla Perez. Selena Quintanilla, the Queen of Tejano music, captivated the world with her voice, charisma, and trailblazing success. Born in 1971, she became a global sensation, breaking barriers for Latin artists and setting the stage for crossover stardom. With hits like Amor Prohibido and Bidi Bidi Bom Bom, she was on the verge of conquering the mainstream American music industry when tragedy struck. On March 31, 1995, at just 23 years old, Selena was shot in Corpus Christi, Texas, by Yolanda Saldivar, the president of her fan club and manager of her boutique. Saldivar had been embezzling money, and when confronted by Selena, she reacted violently. After a heated exchange in a motel room, Saldivar shot Selena in the back as she tried to flee. The singer managed to run to the lobby before collapsing. Despite medical efforts, she succumbed to blood loss. The world was left in shock. Saldivar barricaded herself in her car for nearly 10 hours before being arrested. At her trial, it became clear that she had an unhealthy obsession with Selena, coupled with a desperate attempt to cover her financial fraud. She was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. In the aftermath, theories and speculation swirled. Some believed Saldivar's obsession with Selena turned possessive, leading to extreme jealousy. Others pointed to financial motives. Saldivar feared being exposed as a fraud. Some even suggested mental health issues played a role in her actions. Regardless of the motive, the devastating truth remained. The world lost a once-in-a-lifetime talent. Despite her untimely end, Selena's legacy has only grown stronger. Her music continues to inspire generations, and she remains an icon in Latin music and culture. Her story was immortalized in the 1997 film Selena, starring Jennifer Lopez, further cementing her impact. Her family has worked tirelessly to preserve her memory, ensuring that her influence endures. Selena Quintanilla was more than a singer. She was a symbol of hope, perseverance, and cultural pride. Her life was tragically cut short, but her voice, music, and legacy continue to shine, proving that legends never truly fade. Just 2 years after the murder of Selena, the fashion world lost an icon who fell victim to senseless violence. Third, Gianni Versace. On the morning of July 15, 1997, the world was stunned when Italian fashion icon Gianni Versace was gunned down on the steps of his Miami Beach mansion, Casa Casuarina. The designer had just returned from a morning walk when a mysterious assailant shot him twice in the head. Witnesses saw a man fleeing, and soon investigators found a .40 caliber Taurus PT-100 pistol near the scene. The shocking nature of the crime ignited one of the most infamous manhunts of the decade. Law enforcement quickly linked the crime to Andrew Cunanan, a 27-year-old fugitive already on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Cunanan was a serial killer, having murdered 4 other men across the U.S. Jeffrey Trail, bludgeoned in Minneapolis; David Madsen, shot in Minnesota; Lee Miglin, a Chicago real estate mogul; and William Reese, a New Jersey caretaker, ended up in his truck. Despite being on the run, Cunanan hid in plain sight in Miami for weeks, using aliases and paying cash for hotel stays. Some reports suggested he had even stalked Versace before the murder, though their connection remains unproven. After Versace's murder, the FBI and Miami Beach police launched a nationwide manhunt. Despite intense media coverage, Cunanan evaded capture for 8 days. Eventually, a houseboat owner in Miami Beach reported a break-in, leading SWAT teams to storm the scene. Inside, they found Cunanan dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound, using the same gun that killed Versace. Cunanan's true motive remains unknown, but theories suggest he may have personally known Versace, sought infamy through a high-profile murder, and resented wealthy, successful gay men. The FBI faced heavy criticism for failing to catch Cunanan earlier, raising concerns about law enforcement's urgency in cases involving LGBTQ+ victims. The Versace incident sent shockwaves of terror through the fashion industry. His sister, Donatella Versace, took over the brand, ensuring its continued success. The case inspired books, documentaries, and the hit TV series The Assassination of Gianni Versace in 2018. Though Cunanan's crime spree ended with his death, questions still linger. One thing is certain: Gianni Versace's impact on fashion endures, even as his tragic murder remains one of the most notorious crimes in history. Versace's end was terrifying, but this next one was an international shockwave. Second, Princess Diana. Princess Diana's tragic end on August 31, 1997, remains one of the most mysterious and hotly debated events in modern history. The beloved Princess of Wales, along with her companion Dodi Fayed, were killed in a high-speed car crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris. Their driver, Henri Paul, also lost his life. While official investigations deemed the crash an accident caused by reckless driving, numerous conspiracy theories have kept the intrigue alive. That night, Diana and Dodi dined at the Ritz Hotel before attempting to escape relentless paparazzi by leaving through a back entrance. Henri Paul, the Ritz's head of security, drove them towards Dodi's apartment. However, as their car sped through the tunnel at 65 miles per hour, it crashed into a pillar. Dodi and Paul lost their lives instantly, while Diana, suffering severe internal injuries, succumbed hours later in the hospital. The French authorities found Paul had a blood alcohol level of 1.74 grams per liter, twice the legal limit, concluding that his intoxication contributed to the crash. However, skepticism arose regarding whether his samples had been tampered with. Meanwhile, the aggressive pursuit by paparazzi raised questions about their role in the tragedy, though they were not found legally responsible. Some also pointed to poor lighting in the tunnel as a contributing factor. The sudden loss of Diana fueled speculation, with theories ranging from an orchestrated royal murder to intelligence agency involvement. Some believe the British royal family saw her relationship with Dodi Fayed, an Egyptian Muslim, as a threat and sought to eliminate her. Others claim MI6 orchestrated the crash, fearing Diana's influence and activism. A more far-fetched theory suggests Diana staged her own death to escape public scrutiny. In 2004, a British inquest into the loss of Diana's life reopened, culminating in a 2008 ruling that the crash was an unlawful killing due to reckless driving. While no conspiracy theories were officially supported, suspicions remained, as many inconsistencies were never fully addressed. The tragic loss of Princess Diana continues to captivate the world. Official reports label it a tragic accident, but lingering doubts ensure the speculation never fades. Whether by fate or foul play, her passing remains one of the most heartbreaking and controversial events in history, cementing her status as an icon whose life and death will forever intrigue generations. And finally, the #1 most tragic, shocking, and debated celebrity murder of all time. 1. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's untimely end on July 20th, 1973, remains one of the most puzzling and controversial events in Hollywood history. The martial arts legend, known for his electrifying performances and unparalleled combat skills, was at the peak of his career when he was found unconscious in the apartment of actress Betty Ting Pei. While the official cause of death was ruled as cerebral edema triggered by an allergic reaction, numerous conspiracy theories suggest foul play, leading many to believe his end was not an accident. On that day, Bruce Lee had been working on his film Game of Death and met with producer Raymond Chow to discuss the project. Later, he visited Betty Ting Pei's apartment, where he complained of a headache. Betty gave him a painkiller called Equagesic, and he decided to lie down. Hours later, when she tried to wake him, he was unresponsive. Frantic attempts to revive him failed, and he was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead at just 32 years old. The autopsy revealed that Bruce Lee suffered from severe brain swelling, which was determined to be caused by a hypersensitive reaction to the painkiller. However, this explanation did not sit well with many, given Lee's peak physical condition. Doubts were further fueled by an earlier collapse 2 months before the incident, during which he had also suffered from brain swelling, prompting speculation that the loss of his life was not natural. Given Lee's rising global influence and his revolutionary impact on martial arts cinema, numerous theories emerged to explain his sudden loss. One theory claims that Lee was assassinated by the Triads, the notorious Chinese criminal organization, due to his refusal to comply with their demands in the film industry. Another theory suggests that he was poisoned by jealous rivals in the martial arts world who saw him as a threat. A more supernatural theory speculates that Bruce Lee was cursed. Some believe that an ancient curse targeted his family, a notion that gained traction after the tragic end of his son, Brandon Lee, under similarly mysterious circumstances on the set of The Crow in 1993. Despite the official ruling of accidental death, Bruce Lee's passing continues to fuel speculation. His sudden demise, coupled with eerie coincidences and unanswered questions, ensures that the mystery surrounding his death remains as compelling as his legendary life. Whether due to medical complications or a supernatural force, Bruce Lee's end adds to the enigma of a man who is larger than life itself.